The 30th edition of the African Cup of Nations, the immensely popular football championships of Africa, gets underway in Equatorial Guinea this afternoon. As ever, it will attract the attention of the entire world, with millions tuning in to see which of the 16 nations emerges victorious. Bafana Bafana is in Group C, the group that has been dubbed the Group of Death. Their first game will be up against the #1 team in the continent. That will be on Monday. To help us unpack AFCON 2015, we are joined in the studio by Head of International Affairs at the South African Football Coaches Association, Sudesh Singh. Mr. Singh, good afternoon and welcome to PM Live.
Good afternoon, Marumo. It's a pleasure to be here.
Today, let's firstly start about Bafana Bafana and their build-up to the African Cup of Nations. Would you say that as South Africans, we should be confident that the boys will go all the way to the final?
Yeah, I think that maybe there's too much of pressure on Sheikhs and the team. We all know that we are building for the future, so I think we've had an exceptional qualifying run. The preparation have been very good. So I think it's unfair to expect too much of them at this stage, you know. So let's take it a game at a time. And anyway, it's very good experience for the players and the coach as we are preparing for the 2018 World Cups and the 2022. So we should look at the long term, not at the short term now, immediately for, you know, short-term success.
But remember what Coach Sheikh Mashaba said before he left. He said he packed his bag until the last day of the tournament. So I guess he was giving us hope as South Africans that, hey, we're planning to go all the way. But looking at our players, though, do we have the material to compete against all these other 15 nations that will be taking part in this tournament?
No, I think as Prashek has said, and as a coach, you always want to be confident. You want to win every game. So I don't think there's anything wrong in him saying that, you know, that he wants to go all the way to the final. We have a good young crop of players. I think there's only one player over the age of 30, that's Yeye Lecholanyane. So it shows that Prashek has done a good job in selecting the right kind of players. And in the short time that they've been together, they've played about 10 games now, unbeaten. And the experience they've gained, I think, can only do them well in the future, you know. But I think to put too much pressure, to expect too much at this stage, they are young, they're very inexperienced. But I think they're going to be the surprise package of the tournament.
Now let's look at the first team that they're kicking the tournament with. They're playing against Algeria, the #1 team in the continent. How do you think we'll fare in this one?
Yeah, I think that's going to be our toughest test. That's really going to see how far we've progressed as this new team that Prashek has put together. But also remember that Algeria, traditionally North African teams, they don't do well when they travel south of sub-Saharan Africa. You know, the conditions are different, the weather, the environmental factors, it's now along the equator, humidity is a factor there. The living conditions are different. So those are the things that could affect them a bit. But yes, they are the #1 ranked team, not for nothing. They have a good quality squad, good team unity with a good few individuals. I mean, the main player being Yassin Brahimi, you know, who's their star player.
Now, let's look at this Group C, the so-called this Group of Death. I mean, we have Ghana, Algeria, South Africa, and Senegal. And some of the Ghanaian players were already saying that they know for a fact that Bafana Bafana, they're probably scared to go and play against them. Do you still think that Ghana still have the depth that, that they actually displayed when they were here during the AFCON tournament?
I think Ghana has come with typical West African arrogance, you know, and going on their history and heritage. But they're also similar to Bafana. They're in a rebuilding stage. They're bringing in a lot of young players. Yes, they do have depth, but a lot of the younger players are also untested at this level. So I don't think they'll be one of the favorites to win AFCON this time. They might, the next AFCON, they might be ready to do it. And also remember, they brought in a new coach who's just been there a few weeks now, Avram Grant. It's the first time he's worked in Africa. He has dropped some of the key players, the so-called star players, and he's still struggling to put together, you know, try to find out which is his best 11. So for me, I don't think Ghana are going to be a serious threat. I actually think that we can beat them easily.
Well, that's encouraging to get to hear. But now let's also now look at the hosting nation, Equatorial Guinea. We know that they didn't actually qualify for the tournament, but they are now participating because they are hosting the tournament. They will be up against Congo on the opening match. How do you see that one panning out?
Yeah, I think for them it's going to be very difficult, Maruma, because Equatorial Guinea are the lowest ranked team in this tournament. And as you rightfully said, they came in by default, but they're hosting it anyway. They were put in a crisis. They fired their coach 2 weeks ago. They appointed a new coach. Argentinian coach who was the coach of the national women's team. They have very few players that we know about. The most famous player, I think, is Emilio Nsui. He plays in Middlesbrough in England. And they have 2 or 3 in Spain at the lower leagues. So as a host nation, we always think that they would do well, but I can't see them going too far, unfortunately. They just don't have the quality to go very far. I think Congo would be a bit too good for them.
Now let's also look at some of the groups in the tournament that you find interesting.
Yeah, I think people are talking about Group C being the group of death. I would like to defer there. I think you look at Group D, where you have 4 top West African countries. No one is looking at that group. To me, that group is probably more stronger than Group C. And all of them know each other very well. But you look at teams like Mali and Cameroon are also similar to Bafana and Ghana. They're in the revival process. They're regenerating the team. So I don't think they will compete. But you look at Burkina Faso, who were the surprise team of the last AFCON. Yeah. They are now solid with the experience from the last time. And then you have the team who everyone was vouching for in the World Cup, and now again, Ivory Coast. I think for them, this would probably be their very last time to achieve success with the group of players they have. And it's interesting, the coach has also brought in quite a few good young players. So Ivory Coast would be one of the favorites, together with possibly Algeria, to actually win the tournament for me.
Mr. Singh, thanks a lot for your time, for coming through and having a chat with us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thanks a lot. That was the head of international affairs at the South African Football Coaches Association. That is Sudesh Singh.